Good morning, everyone, or good evening, or good afternoon, or whenever you're watching this. Welcome to another episode. So here we are at Ratasum. It's a pretty big place, pretty cool place, the capital of the Tarnished Coast, if you will. There's not many quests to do here, really. Remember Polymorph I was talking about in a previous episode? We can learn about that and start taking part in that if we want. We will do that, but I want to actually meet this Oola woman who knows quite a lot about golems with our current primary quest, which is lab space. So our current goal is to locate the laboratory of Oola, the Asuran master golemancer, and we also need to find Oola's former assistant Blimm, and Blimm will help us do that. Now, Oola and Blimm are two, well, not Oola so much, but pretty much there are three Asurans in Guild Wars 1. There's Oola, there's Blimm, and there's a third guy, a guy we won't meet for a while called Zinn, and he's a bit mysterious, and it'll be a while before we talk about him though. But basically these three characters are really the guys who pave the way for all golems come Guild Wars 2, and they're quite important. I really like the story between them because through even the books, the Guild Wars novels, particularly Ghosts of Ascalon, and all these different places in Guild Wars 1, you get all these little pieces of their story, essentially, of what happens with these three Asura, and in the end you kind of find out this big story about how golems were invented, and there's all these hints to do with stuff we found in Sorry's furnace and stuff. So I can't wait to show you guys all these little clues. This third guy, this Zinn guy, as I said, we won't meet him for a while. In Guild Wars 1, he's probably the most important character, but really, in fact, Blimm, and you won't think it from the quest we're doing now, Blimm really is the star of the show. In 250 years, really, Blimm is the big character. So do keep an eye on Blimm. Right now, it will just be Blimm and Oola, and Oola right now is really the star of the show, because we need to find her. She's the master golemancer here. Blimm was a former assistant of hers, which is why he can tell us about the lab. But before we do that, I want to read the outpost description for Ratasum, I guess. It's kind of big and open here, really, in Guild Wars 1, isn't it? It's just a few fields and some ruins and a couple of Asuran things set up. In Guild Wars 2, I don't know if you guys have seen the trailers. You should have, but if you haven't, Ratasum just looks incredible. It just looks so cool. It's like this giant floating pyramid thing. In fact, I think, I could be wrong, but I think the day this episode goes live will be when Gamescom started. So, and Gamescom, the demo this year, as you guys might know, it's got all this new stuff. We're going to see PvP. We're going to see playable Sylvari, who have had a big redesign. So kind of fingers crossed they'll look good. We'll see the Asura and all kinds of stuff. So, that should be pretty cool. But yeah, Ratasum looks pretty great, but it's a bit different, really, in Guild Wars 1. There's not much here. It's very different in Guild Wars 2, but let's read about it nonetheless. The hub of Asuran activity on the surface world, Ratasum was quickly and magically erected when the race arrived from their native underground homes. Geomystic generators dot the area, providing free power to the town. Some find the atmosphere within the town uncomfortable, saying you can literally feel the energy being sucked from the air, but the Asura vow this enchanted technology is perfectly safe. Yeah, I have my doubts about that. Here they're talking about energy being plucked from the air as well. Do you remember when we started this Let's Play, when we were seeing what happened to Gwen? There were all those kind of texts about the ether and stuff. In Guild Wars, they never really explain what magic is very well. They kind of hint at this idea of the ether being around and Mesmers kind of manipulate it and stuff to control people's minds and things. But you never really learn that much about what magic is, and the Asura really are very, very fluent in the way it works, shall we say. All of their technology is magitech, essentially. Come Guild Wars 2, the Asura have regular technology, like we saw in the real world, quite steampunkish style stuff going on. But the Asura, all of their technology is about magic. But yeah, also the other thing about Ratasum I was going to mention, almost forgot, is yesterday I told you what was an anagram of Mersat, but also apparently if you translate that directly from Latin, I think it means I have verified or I have ratified, which is quite cool considering the nature of the Asura. I don't know which is more deliberate, the fact it was an anagram or the fact that it can be translated from Latin. Who knows? If it was both, then kudos to whoever thought of the name. Anyway, right, so here we've got Blimm. You just saw him say, "Have you seen my staff?" There's lots of quotes he says. He'll constantly spit out random things he talks about. We're going to find out Blimm is a bit of an oddball, let's just say that much. He's pretty crazy. Let's speak to him.
Here comes trouble.
Have you seen my staff? Who's there? Do you have my staff? No? Oh, Lork sent you. I owe him a favour. Yes, everybody owes him favours. Yeah, I can help find Oola's workshop. It's not easy to get to, though. I should know. I helped design the security system. It's good. Really good. Meet me in Magus Stones and I'll show you the way to her lab. By the way, have you seen my red staff? So he's looking for a staff for some reason. He's got quite a weird personality. He's based on a character from Spaced, I think. I don't have the name to hand right now, but I'll tell you in a bit. But yeah, before we go do that, before he leads us to Oola's lab, though, so we can learn about these golems, I quickly want to get a hero's handbook from the Asura. So these talent scouts, as you know, we've met a dwarven scout, we've met the humans, we've met the Norn. This is the only scout left, really. So here's Lex.
Why are you bothering?
I love the headdress. By the way, the headdresses are a big reason why I love the Guild Wars 1 Asura, and I don't particularly like the Guild Wars 2 ones. When we meet Oola, I'll point out exactly what I mean. But here we go. So, well, it's Tom Bluewood. I've got an eye for talent, and the other Asura trust my judgment when it comes to evaluating people for their crews. If you can impress me, you might have a place here. Listen, bring me written evidence of your deeds, blah, blah, blah. Try to make yourself useful to any Asura you encounter. Your kind can be especially handy aiding crew members who often need someone to provide a little brute force, or perhaps a willing test subject. And don't forget, written evidence of your achievements will go a long way to improving your reputation. So a lot of the Asura kind of like to use us as guinea pigs. As you know, there's the other story going on with Livia, and when she said she'd been working with Asura, Vic was like, oh no, this isn't good. The Asura really are quite ruthless with humans there. They're just constantly looking down their noses at us. Okay, so I think that's everything. Let's go look for Oola's lab. Spent enough time rambling around here. 6 minutes? Are you serious? 6 minutes? Wow. Sorry about that, guys. I don't mean to go off on one too much, but yeah. I love like the magical energies coming off that thing. Pretty cool. Anyway, right. Okay, so we're going to go out into the Magus Stones. The furthest west explorable area you can reach, I think. No, not in the whole game. There's actually a place up here called the Falls, which, speaking of Zinn, that's quite relevant to Zinn. Yes, a place back in Prophecies. Yeah, it's kind of to do with Guild Wars Beyond. Some people don't consider it to be so, but I do. But yeah, we're pretty far west, though. This is one of the most western places you can come into here. Of course, we've never really heard anything about what goes on this side of the planet. There is a quote. I think it's Aiden or Raina, one of the henchmen. She talks about being like one of the best rangers this side of the Tarnished Coast, meaning this side, which is quite interesting, which means obviously stuff is over there and people do know about it. I'm always most interested in the places we haven't got a clue about, but yeah. Okay, so the Magus Stones, lots of Wind Riders here, as we'll see. Okay, so an experiment crew member.
Oh great, another booker.
Human help is a disaster. We were up here trying to do some minor experiments on harmless animals and the whole thing blew up in our faces. Now every animal in the area has gone crazy with a lust for our hides. You have to help us kill them before someone gets hurt. Or worse, expelled from the crew. Tell us your help and we'll give you this to strengthen your blows. Okay. Offers to hunt crazed beasts or something. Sorry, I didn't read that out loud. And I said, I don't care if you fire me either, because I told Oola that if she moves my desk one more time, then I'm quitting. Okay, so Blimm, yeah, he's crazy, guys. He's actually insane. But yeah, these fields here, lots of Wind Riders. I guess that kind of ties into that very ridiculous reason why everything's fighting. Kind of magical creatures. I like how there's Wind Riders around near the Asura, actually, since the Asura have such an affinity for magic, and really the Wind Riders are just kind of these things drawn to magical areas. That would actually explain quite nicely why so many of them are at Ratassoum, wouldn't it? Considering what we just read in the description. Huh, I'd never considered that before. What do you know? Well, anyway, yeah, Wind Riders, very annoying. Just because they all snare you so much. It's a problem in this game where there are certain skills, because in PvE at least, if you give one enemy a certain skill and then you end up fighting a whole group of them, it's just... Like, hex removal is almost pointless in Guild Wars 1, because if you're fighting a single enemy that has hexes, it's likely there's going to be lots more that have got them as well, and they'll just be able to replace them as soon as you can remove them, and it just makes it all feel a bit useless. Anyway, right, let's speak to Blimm.
Why are you bothering?
Have you seen my staff? No, I haven't. I didn't much like working for Oola. She moved my desk 4 times, and I told her not to move my desk anymore, and then she moved it into the cellar and stopped paying me. Yeah, I didn't like that. We better get going. I've got important things to be doing. Asura things you humans wouldn't understand. Okay, so it's likely through this episode he'll keep talking to himself, and I'm going to miss the quotes. Please feel free to read them. Some of them are quite funny. There's references to stuff. I think there's a reference to the cake is a lie, obviously from Portal. If you don't know what that is, you probably should get off the internet. But yeah, so please do feel free to read those, because I'm not going to be able to get them all. Basically, he just constantly talks to himself. He's insane. He's a bit of a pyromaniac, as we'll find out soon enough. But yeah. Yeah, it's not okay, because if she took my staff, I'm going to burn her lab down. He just constantly talks about trying to burn her lab down. So this Magus Stones is quite a big area, by the way. This is like the one area in the Tarnished Coast where I really, particularly if you look on Wiki, I usually look on Wiki to see the most interesting things, stuff, you know, that I've missed and most people have missed. And usually, when you're doing it in Eye of the North, there's loads of notes, loads of interesting little things to talk about. But Magus Stones, there really isn't that much. It's a shame. There's probably a few nice things to see. There's a hidden dungeon down at the bottom down here called Arachne's Haunt, Arachne's Lair, which is like this giant spider dungeon, which is pretty cool. I think it's regarded as one of the harder ones. Hopefully we'll see that eventually. I don't think the story down there is that great, but aside from that, really, there's not that much to talk about here. Not many interesting little things. I mean, it looks great. All of the Tarnished Coast always looks great. But yeah. Lots of crate around the water, of course. If I press U, we'll see that we've got to go to this corner on the minimap. And really, as far as the main storyline is concerned, that's it. You don't really have to do anything else here in Magus Stones. That's it. You can just then go back. It's the only reason you have to go south is, I think, for the dungeon, and then for, obviously, if you want to capture skills or vanquish. Which is a bit weird, since most of the Eye of the North explorable areas are quite good at encouraging people to go all over them. I mean, the Tangle down here, you've got two reasons to come here. One, there's a primary quest, and two, there's also obviously the hidden outpost. Which, yeah, it's hidden, but once you learn about it, I mean, you're definitely going to want to go over there. There's a really cool character over there as well, who is very interesting. Having said that, I do think there's like a little Asuran village somewhere around here, like in the middle or something, unless I'm thinking of somewhere else. Nonetheless, I don't think there's anyone that great to talk to. I looked at what all the collectors have to say, and they don't really have that much. Actually, I think there is something cool to talk about here. We're at a little lake, and there's some houses built into it, right? And there's frogs here. These are the Hylic. I mentioned these in Nightfall. In Nightfall, if you remember, we met the Hecate. Okay, the Hecate were, I think they're supposed to be toad people. The Hecate are supposed to be toad people, and the Hylic here you find first in Eye of the North, and these are frog people. Now, there has been a lore blog post out about the Hylic. Come Guild Wars 2, there aren't any Hecate left in Tyria. There aren't any Hecate at all. So the ones we met in Nightfall, the frog people, they're all gone. Instead, the blog post makes it sound like they've evolved into the Hylic. So think of the Hylic, even though both species exist at the same time, at the time of Guild Wars 1, eventually they have all evolved, or at least it sounds like, into Hylic. And these are quite a big race come Guild Wars 2. You get situations in your personal story where you can choose, do you want to save them or kill them, and then they'll appear in your home instance and stuff like this. And they've become, I think they remain enemies, but they've also got a lot more depth, and they've become kind of an NPC race. They've got all these different tribes, some like humans, some don't. They mostly are really good at making poisons. They're like great alchemists, and people go to them for poisons and stuff. So these are actually a very minor race come Guild Wars 1. I don't think there's any lore about them written at all. There could be in the manuscript. If there is, I'll put it in the description. But yeah, they become a much bigger race come Guild Wars 2. I quite like a Hylic as well. They're a pretty cool design. But yeah, that is the difference. A lot of people get quite confused about the difference between Hylic and Hecate. Maybe because they sound so similar, maybe because they are so similar. But yeah, the Hylic, these guys we see here, these frog people, these will stay in Guild Wars 2, and the Hecates, and they could still exist in Eye of the North with that. In Nightfall. With that said, they could still exist in those regions. But at launch, obviously, we're not going to be going there. So. As far as we're concerned, there are no Hecate in 250 years. There are just the Hylic. But yeah, that's another race. I don't think you see them anywhere else outside of Art of the North, outside of the Tarnished Coast areas. There's a particularly large swamp we'll go to later, where there's lots of Hylek, and in fact I think one of the quests is to try and clear them out. It's called Frog Stomp, if I remember correctly, which is pretty cool, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah, there are a few Hylek settlements around here, and you know, we can just go through and mercilessly slaughter them all. Anyway, we're coming quite close now. You might have seen a portal up there through those rocks. That is our destination. I don't think you can actually get to it without having Blimm with you. Blimm kind of teaches you the way. I love the way the Asuran walk. It's amazing. They just kind of waddle. Look at him go. Yeah, do we have to fight anyone else? Oh, typical, we do more crates. Defeat the Timberland Guardian. Where's that? Hello? Oh, up there. Oh, okay, Oak Hearts. This is quite cool. You never really see Oak Heart bosses, do you? You saw some in Prophecies, but I guess they were quite a rare species always. You actually see a proper boss here. It's a nice change. Is he just alone? Yeah, it looks like it. Oh, I see. He was actually defending the entrance to the lab. Okay. There we go. Ah, and it took too long. Another crater fighting us. Oh, okay, so Oola seems to have wandered, Blimm, sorry, seems to have wandered on without us. He says, Oola created this guardian. Once you defeat it, we can cross over to her workshop. My staff might be there. So yeah, oh, she actually created the guardian. Now, one thing to bear in mind with Oola, as I said, there are three kind of Asuran characters who are very good. Oola is, as we've heard, an esteemed goalmancer, but that's not necessarily what she focuses on. She's actually, I'm just trying to think of the term here. She's described as, she basically creates humanoid magical creatures. That's basically what she does. It just so happens that golems are a part of that. But Oola's expertise covers a lot more than just golems, and she's not completely specialised in that subject. We'll meet people who are more specialised in that subject later. So while Oola is a great golemancer, there is better out there. In fact, this is quite cool, actually. So do bear that in mind. This is quite cool. You get a vine seed. Do you remember in the Maguuma Jungle? There was a lot of stuff in a lot of the storylines up here to do with the vine seeds. The druids, if you remember from the Maguuma Jungle, who used the vines to travel through the forest, and the Shining Blade learned how to do that. You actually see that kind of come back here. So you pick up the vine seed, and I guess Blimm will place it here, and we'll get these vines come across, which is a mechanic you don't see anywhere else in all of the world. Again, do remember the druids and stuff, because they could have some links to the Sabari. Anyway, so Blimm, here's the seed.
You need me?
Yes, I do need you. Oola didn't fire me. I quit. She moved my desk into the cellar and stopped paying me. After a couple of months, I left. I think she took my staff too. That's why I left. I love that staff. Someday I'm going to burn her lab down if I don't get it back. Oh, yes. Well, anyway, you'll find Oola's lab down below all the traps. Good luck disarming them. If I had my staff, I'd help you. When you're ready to enter, speak to me, and I'll use this vine seed to open the path to Oola's lab. Okay, cool. Have you seen my stuff? So now we actually get a nice little cutscene. Well, we learn a little bit about what Vex's been saying. Oola doesn't like to be bothered by outsiders. You have to outsmart her security system. Are you sure you want to proceed? Yes, we need her for the Golem project. Turns out Oola's a bit of a bitch, guys. But yeah, this cutscene will teach us what Vex's been going on about when he keeps calling us bookers. Go for it, Blimm. Use the seed. It's not like we've done this a million times before. Well, I guess Tom hasn't done it, but if Peter was here, he knew how to do that.
When we get there, let me do the talking. Oola is brilliant in her field and pretty thorny.
Worse than Gad?
Don't get me started. Gad was once the bane of my existence. He's headstrong, arrogant, and nasty. He makes Oola look like a ray of sunshine, Buka.
You've used that term before. What does it mean?
Buka? It's an imaginary monster we use to frighten children. They're big, clumsy creatures with loud, bellowing voices. Not too bright, either.
And humans are like this to you?
Well, if the bellowing fits. Now come on, and remember, when we get to Oola, let me do the talking.
Be my guest.
Okay, I love to see that. I really do. They did it reasonably well in Eye of the North, but they could have done it better. Well, we see how the races sort of view each other. I guess that comes more in the sequel where they're more prominent, but it's pretty cool to at least see that. I like the idea of the Booker, and it just kind of fleshes out the Asuran culture a little bit more. Anyway, sorry, Blimm says, this is far as I care to take you. I can't go back in there. Too many bad memories. You'll have to get down to the laboratory all on your own. Oola's workshop is 2 levels down. Past all of her security measures, I left a worker golem to open the first door. Have fun. We designed the traps to keep less intelligent creatures out. We Asura have no problems with them. You should be fine. Yeah, you'll be okay. And if you see my red staff, bring it back to me. It's not okay, and if she took my staff, I'm going to burn the laboratory down. Great. Okay, Blimm, you're insane. Let's go. So we can go into the lab. Also, by the way, in the cutscene there, I love how my mask, when I'm talking, sort of the bottom jaw where it's so huge, kind of flapped all the way around. Anyway, right, so the elusive Golemancer. Find Oola's workshop in the depths below and convince her to help with Mamp's project. Now, this is a primary Eye of the North quest, but the cool thing about it is that it takes you into the Depths of Tyria. So you don't just do dungeons in the Depths of Tyria. Some dungeons you can actually come to. So all this stuff we're hearing about the staff, that's actually a side quest. Once we've completed this main storyline, we can choose to return here and see a different story to do with the staff, which is pretty cool. It's kind of foreshadowing what dungeons are going to be like in the sequel, which is pretty awesome. But that's basically not every time you come into the depths are we doing a dungeon. We're actually still essentially just in a mission here. And there's lots of spiderwebs, lovely. I know this isn't the way to go, but I'm just wondering what's down here. There's a door here? Really? Why is there a door here? What's through it? Oh, I can't clip through and see. Huh, weird. Okay, anyway. Or is that the door we came in through? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, so this main quest story is pretty good. I like this mission, if you will. Because it's not just run around, kill a million things. There's actually some really interesting gameplay sort of concepts going on here. Interesting little traps you have to work your way through. So here you can see a beacon of Droknar, but because we're not in a dungeon, we can't actually get a bounty from it. So there's a mysterious voice. Attention, this is a secure area and is off limits to all outsiders. Trespassers will not be tolerated. Turn back now if you value your lives. Don't even try to bypass this new security system. It's flawless. Besides, you need a golem to let you in, and it's not like a simpleton like you could operate one. Didn't Blimm activate a worker golem to help us? Let's find it. Okay, so there's lots of worker golems. This is our first little trial. I will flag my guys here. Lots of golems, loads and loads and loads. Some of them are called sentry golems, some of them are called worker golems. In fact, I think there's only a couple of worker golems. The trick is I don't know, the puzzles here are very easy. I enjoy them just because there are actual puzzles in the game. You don't really see it enough in the gameplay, but at the same time, I would have maybe liked them to have been a bit harder. But then I guess, you know, with a game like this, you have to make where you've got so many different types of players coming through, you have to appeal to them all, which is a shame. It's a big reason why we don't see sort of real dark, grim adult storylines going on in it, which is sad, but there you go. Right, okay, so we got 2 worker golems here at the front. Let's just speak to this one. Golem offline. I love the noise they make. Golem offline. Okay. Oh, this is our first sight of actual golems, isn't it? Are these the first Asuran made golems we've ever seen? Of course, we've seen the Iron Forgeman, which was a golem in Story's Furnace. Do remember him, because these 3 characters I keep talking about, Blimm, Oola and Zinn, they all seem to have connections to the Iron Forgeman. They all seem to have based their technology off of it. And I'll show you the evidence for that as we go. There's another golem here. Oh, here we go. So this golem